There is a hidden fracture running through people who are too aware for the world they're living in. Not more ambitious, not lazier, more conscious, more sensitive to meaning, to contradiction, to what feels false. It shows up as a quiet, disorienting ache, the sense that you've been disqualified from a race you never agreed to run. You scroll through a world moving to a schedule you can't decode, watching others map their lives early, degree, job, partner, home, a clean, ascending line they seem to follow without friction. They absorbed the rulebook, played the game, and collected the rewards society promised. And then there's you. Your path isn't a straight line, it's a labyrinth. You've followed callings that felt real until they stopped being true. You've plunged into obsessions that lit you up, only to wake one day and feel the meaning drain out of them completely. You've endured long stretches of stillness, years where you produced nothing the world could measure, while internally you were anything but idle. You were dismantling inherited beliefs, grieving futures that no longer fit, and rebuilding your entire inner operating system from the ground up. To the outside, you are a question mark, a potential that never materialized, a late bloomer at best, at worst, a beautifully complicated failure. But what if this isn't a malfunction? What if this pain is the necessary friction of a consciousness too complex for simple roots? The pioneering psychologist Carl Jung spent his life studying souls like yours. He would not see your delays as weakness. He would see them as the signature of a specific kind of human, one biologically and psychologically incapable of cheap, early success. You are not failing to launch. You are undergoing a gestation period dictated by the weight of the destiny you carry. Think of it this way. You cannot grow a redwood forest in a single season. The oak does not race the dandelion. Your slow, often painful development isn't a sign of brokenness, but of a different architectural blueprint. While others were building neat single-story cottages on the surface, you've been forced to dig through layers of personal and inherited trauma, through questions of existential meaning, to pour a foundation deep enough to support a skyscraper. The world obsessed with overnight success and 30 under 30 mistakes your digging for dawdling. It calls your deep work idleness. Jung offered a radical reframe. The first half of life is not the main event. It is merely a preparation. For most, it's about building an ego, a social persona, securing a place in the world. But for the intuitive, the deep feeler, the analyzer, for you, this phase is often characterized by necessary suffering. This suffering is the sandpaper that scrubs away the false self the world tried to glue onto you. Your very neurology works against superficial progress. When others were learning the rules of a game, you were paralyzed by a need to understand why the game was being played at all. This isn't indecision, it's integrity. You possess what Jung called a differentiation of consciousness. You cannot blindly execute. Your psyche demands meaning before it will commit its colossal energy. In an economy that rewards swift, unthinking action, this makes you look hesitant, unreliable, dreamy. But this hesitation is a sacred safeguard. It is your soul's refusal to invest a lifetime in a script written by someone else. The great danger is that you internalize this natural protective slowness as a personal flaw. You see the chasm between your inner vastness and your outer life, and a corrosive shame sets in. You wonder why you can't just be normal, why social interactions leave you depleted, why you feel an ancient exhaustion after a day of seemingly nothing. This exhaustion is real. It's the tax you pay for processing reality at 4K resolution, while many operate in standard definition. You are not just living life, you are decoding it, every nuance, every subtext, every emotional and philosophical implication. You are the high-performance server, bogged down by boot-up complexity, while simpler systems snap to attention. But once you are online, once your inner architecture is integrated, your processing power, your depth of insight, becomes irreplaceable. Jung believed nature makes no errors. If you are wired this way, it is because the world needs this wiring. Our culture is overflowing with people who can maintain the status quo, follow instructions, and keep the existing machine humming. But history's true pivots, when systems fail, maps expire, and meaning evaporates, are not navigated by those who mastered the old rules. They are navigated by those like you who spent their silent years underground, building a foundation not on sand but on bedrock. Your time is not lost. It is being composted. The loneliness, the confusion, the feeling of being out of step, these are not the symptoms of a life gone wrong. They are the growing pains of a consciousness being forged for a task that has not yet appeared. The early achievers built their identities on a platform of external validation, a platform that can vanish in an instant. You, however, are being forced to build yours on the unshakable ground of self-knowledge, one in solitude. This is not a consolation prize. It is the advantage you never knew you were cultivating. The first half of life was your excavation. The second half is for the building that only your deep foundation can support. The quiet catastrophe is not your life. It's the lie that you're behind. You're not. You're on a different clock, and it's about to strike its hour. Part 2, the alchemy of falling apart. If the first half of your life has felt less like climbing a ladder and more like dissolving in acid, you must understand this. You are in an alchemical process. In ancient alchemy, the first crucial stage toward creating gold was the nigredo, the blackening. It was a putrefaction, a deliberate breakdown of base matter into a chaotic black sludge. To the uninitiated, it looked like ruin. To the alchemist, it was the essential first step, the decomposition of the impure so the pure could emerge. Your 20s and 30s, with their abandoned paths, lost relationships, and evaporated certainties, have been your nigredo. You haven't been failing to build a self. You've been courageously dissolving the false one. While others were acquiring titles, relationships, possessions, you were often losing. You lost friends who couldn't comprehend your depth. You left jobs that suffocated your spirit. You shed beliefs that now feel like childhood costumes. This process of subtraction feels like going backward. It feels like decay. But this is the sacred decomposition. You were failing at being normal so you could succeed at being you. Imagine if you'd succeeded at 25. You'd have secured the corner office, the perfect partner, the expected life. You would have sealed yourself inside a persona, a respectable, impressive mask. And by 50, that mask would have become a sarcophagus. The midlife crisis that shatters ordinary lives isn't a tragedy. It's the soul's last-ditch riot against a life of self-betrayal. Your early stagnation protected you from that. It kept you fluid, searching, and honest. It prevented you from cementing a destiny that was 2 sizes too small. The peril, however, is in the waiting room of the soul. The line between gestation and stagnation is razor thin. Jung identified a trap for minds like yours, the neurosis of the perpetual preparer. You live in the provisional life. You tell yourself, I'll begin when I'm ready, when I've healed enough, learned enough, planned enough. But that day never dawns because the feeling of total readiness is a mirage. You mistake thinking for doing and planning for living. This is the haunt of the poor eternus, the eternal child. This doesn't mean you're childish. Your intellect is likely hypermature, but a part of your psyche hovers above the gritty reality of life, in love with infinite potential and terrified of finite, flawed action. Committing to one path feels like murdering all the other dazzling versions of yourself that still live in your imagination. So you remain airborne, analyzing the terrain but never landing, critiquing the players but never entering the arena. The pain of this suspension eventually becomes acute, a physical weight of regret. You start to envy the simple people actually doing things, even if their endeavors seem mundane. The cure for the eternal child is not to become dull and conventional. The cure is work, not just any work, but embodied work. It is the conscious, often gritty act of dragging your celestial insights down from the clouds and forging them into something tangible on earth. This is why you may feel a sudden violent urge in your 30s, 40s, or beyond to write the book, build the business, master a physical craft, or create art. It's not a whim, it's your soul's demand for friction. It's tired of the abstract. It wants to touch matter. This transition requires a fundamental shift from an inward-facing stance, analysis, defense, preparation, to an outward-facing one, creation, expression, impact. Jung called this shift the metanoia, a turning of the mind. It is the moment the chrysalis cracks. The frustration you feel now, the ache of unlived potential, is not a sign you've missed your chance. It is the pressure of the birth canal. You are being squeezed because you have outgrown your old life. Your failure to fit in was divine protection, the universe ensuring you didn't get comfortable in a cage. This is where you must make a crucial alliance. You need to find your pack. The isolation that protected your sensitive spirit in youth becomes a prison in adulthood. You don't need a crowd, but you do need a few fellow travelers who see in the same dim light. Jung spoke of an aristocracy of the spirit, a scattered tribe of awake individuals. Finding them, even a handful, is oxygen. They reflect your reality back to you and provide the resonance that turns lonely work into a shared mission. Your greatest asset in this alchemical process is what you've likely seen as your greatest flaw, your shadow. For the first half of life, you were probably good, empathetic, accommodating, perhaps a people pleaser. You repressed your aggression, your sharp ambition, your desire for power. Fearing these traits made you corrupt or cruel. You disarmed yourself in a noble attempt to be harmless. But Jung warned, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The late bloomer's breakthrough requires shadow integration. You must reclaim the ambition you call greed. It's the fuel for your mission. You must reclaim the anger you call destructive. It's the energy that will build unshakable boundaries. The world has enough harmless idealists. It needs embodied sovereigns, individuals who can wield power with the wisdom forged in decades of empathy and introspection. When you finally integrate these forbidden parts, your power doesn't become toxic. It becomes formidable. It's grounded, not frantic. You move with a gravity that early achievers can't replicate because their power stems from ego, while yours flows from the integrated totality of your being. This is the alchemical gold, the self fully owned, ready to work. Part 3. The Bamboo Years. Why your roots needed time. Consider the bamboo tree. For 5 long years after it's planted, nothing visible happens. Not a single inch of vertical growth. To an impatient onlooker, it's a failure, a waste of soil and water. But underground, unseen, it is engaged in a furious, silent campaign, building a vast, interconnected root system, anchoring itself deep into the earth to support a colossal weight that does not yet exist. Then, in the 5th year, it explodes skyward, growing 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Did it grow 80 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow 80 feet in 5 years? You are the bamboo. The years you've perceived as stagnant, lost, or wandering were your root season. While others were shooting up quickly as tender grass, you were developing a foundational network meant to hold something monumental. Our culture celebrates the grass. It's green, fast, and covers ground. But it's also fragile, easily trampled, and gone with the first hard frost. The oak, the redwood, the bamboo, they play a longer game. They invest in what's unseen. Jung divided life into 2 halves, the morning and the afternoon. The morning, youth into early midlife, is for expansion, ego building, and exploration. The afternoon, midlife onward, is for contraction, meaning-making, and depth. Our hyper-connected hustle culture is stuck in a perpetual shrieking morning. It worships the prodigy, the disruptor, the young founder. It has forgotten the power, dignity, and profound creativity of the afternoon. Your bamboo years have been your morning, but not the kind society advertises. Yours was a morning spent in the underworld, not in the spotlight. You were gathering the raw materials, resilience, empathy, nuanced understanding, spiritual fortitude, that are becoming the most valuable currency in our world. As artificial intelligence automates technical skills and logical processing, what remains uniquely human are the very capacities you've been honing in the dark. Complex pattern recognition, deep emotional intelligence, ethical reasoning, and the ability to synthesize disparate fields into new wisdom. The early achiever built a brilliant app. You've been wrestling with the question of what that app does to the human soul. The market is now turning toward questions only you have the depth to answer. This period also points to a deeper, often unconscious mission. You are likely a cycle breaker in your lineage. Jung understood that we carry the unconscious burdens of our ancestors, their unmet aspirations, their traumas, their fears. The late bloomer is often the designated one, the sensitive who subconsciously takes on the task of metabolizing this inherited pain. You couldn't simply succeed in the traditional sense because you were busy doing the silent, heavy lifting for your family line. You were processing grief that wasn't only yours, confronting limitations that were generations old. This is exhausting, invisible work. It explains the ancient exhaustion you feel. But once this work reaches a point of integration, a profound shift occurs. The road clears, the weight lifts. You are no longer running a race with ghosts on your back. You are free. And when you finally move forward, you move not just for yourself, but as an emissary of a liberated future for those who came before and those who will come after. Your success becomes a form of ancestral healing. This is why your eventual success will have a different texture. It won't be the frantic, fame-seeking energy of the morning. It will be attractive, not chasing. You stop pursuing things that flee from you. By solidifying your inner world, you become a gravitational force that naturally draws the right opportunities, people, and resources. The desperation evaporates. You realize you've already survived your worst-case scenario, the void of meaninglessness, and it did not destroy you. This lack of fundamental fear is magnetic. Your time in the soil has given you an anti-fragility that early peaks often lack. A scandal, a market crash, a personal loss can obliterate an identity built purely on external validation. But you've already had your identity dismantled and rebuilt from the inside. You know who you are when the titles, the applause, and the status symbols are stripped away. This makes you unshakable. The winds that topple the shallow-rooted only make you bend deeper into your strength. Your roots are your superpower. The world, finally, is ready for what they can support. Part 4. The Constellation, when your fragments become a masterpiece. For years, you felt like a collection of brilliant, disconnected fragments. A deep knowledge of philosophy here, a random proficiency in coding there, an obsession with Renaissance art, a stint studying psychology, a passion for sustainable farming. To the linear world, you are a jack of all trades, master of none. You've been told to focus, to specialize, to pick a lane. But Jung would offer a different diagnosis. You are not scattered. You are constellating. You have been gathering the pieces of a unique mosaic according to a blueprint only your soul understands. The early specialist becomes a master of one note, played perfectly. But you have been collecting notes from every scale, every instrument, every tradition. Your life's work will not be a solo. It will be a symphony. This is the phenomenon of synthesis, the crowning glory of the late blooming path. When your moment of alignment arrives, it doesn't look like a simple promotion. It looks like a sudden geometric convergence of every seemingly random skill, every period of suffering, every abandoned hobby, and every deep curiosity. They all lock into place, revealing that they were never random at all. They were prerequisites. The depression taught you the language of the soul's winter. The technical skill gives you the tools to build. The knowledge of history provides the context. The spiritual seeking offers the compass. Suddenly, you have a singular, irreplaceable competence, the ability to solve a complex human-scale problem in a way no pure specialist ever could. You can build a tech platform with soul. You can lead an organization with wisdom. You can create art that heals. This is your magnum opus, your great work. It's not just a job or a project. It's the full-bodied expression of your soul's code. Because it is synthesized from such authentic, hard-won, and diverse materials, it is impossible to replicate. You become a category of one. In a world of commoditized skills, you offer something priceless: integrated intelligence. At this stage, Jung's concept of synchronicity begins to punctuate your life. Synchronicity are meaningful coincidences that have no causal link, yet feel deeply connected. When your inner truth finally aligns with your outer action, the universe seems to stop resisting you and starts assisting you. You meet the perfect collaborator in a random queue. A book falls open to the exact paragraph that answers a decade-old question. Opportunities arise as if by magic. This isn't magic, it's resonance. You are no longer swimming against the current of your own nature. You are the current. The struggle of the first half of life was the friction of being misaligned. The flow of the second half is the power of being fully, unapologetically what you are. But to reach this stage of synthesis, You must make a ruthless commitment. You must protect your energy as the sacred resource it has become. You can no longer afford the leaks, the draining relationships, the numbing habits, the chaotic information diets. They must go. Your vessel, finally ready to hold its priceless content, must be sealed. This means cultivating fierce boundaries, not from anger, but from sovereignty. It means saying no to good things so you can say a full-hearted yes to the essential thing. Your empathy, once a source of depletion, must now be guarded by wisdom. You learn to discern between supporting others and being bled dry by them. The habits of the waiting room, passivity, overanalysis, people-pleasing, will try to reclaim you. Your task is to defend the momentum you've started. This is not selfishness. It is stewardship. The world does not need another drained, half-expressed intuitive. It needs you, fully powered and operational. Your fragments were never mistakes. They were clues. The constellation they are forming is your destiny's map, and it is almost complete. Part 5, the afternoon of life. Your time is now. The culture belongs to the morning. It is loud, bright, frantic, and obsessed with newness. But the treasure, the deep, quiet, enduring gold, belongs to the afternoon. If you are reading this, feeling a resonance that vibrates in your bones, you are standing at the threshold of your afternoon. The long, often lonely sunrise is over. The light is shifting. It is no longer the glaring, competitive light of noon, but the long, golden, revealing light of late day, where everything looks more real, more beautiful, and more true. Do not look back at the sprinters who peaked at dawn with regret. Their races run, their trophies are dusty. Do not envy the path that was never yours. You were given a different assignment, to go deep, not just far, to build meaning, not just a resume, to become real, not just successful. Your time was never then, your time is now. The curtain is not falling, it is rising. The second half is not a decline, it is the main performance. The success you will experience is of a different species altogether. Heavier, sweeter, more grounded, and infinitely more impactful. It is success that doesn't just change your bank account. It changes the atmosphere around you. It is success that allows you to finally exhale after a lifetime of holding your breath, waiting to be found out. You are found by yourself. The late bloomer is a misnomer. You are not late. You are on a different schedule. The schedule of the soul, which understands that some fruits must undergo frost to sweeten. Your presence will carry a gravitational weight that younger leaders cannot manufacture. It is the weight of integrated shadow, of survived despair, of hard-won self-knowledge. People will feel it before you even speak. So as you stand here, do not apologize for the years it took to arrive. Do not shrink from the power you've integrated. Do not fear the simplicity that comes from knowing what truly matters. You have the depth of the ocean in a world paddling in puddles. You have the resilience of ancient wood in a culture built on particle board. Your mind, sharpened on the whetstone of silence and suffering, can cut through noise to truth. The world is entering an age of unprecedented complexity, spiritual longing, and existential challenge. The old maps are burning. The very skills you cultivated in exile, synthesis, depth, resilience, meaning-making, are the ones desperately needed to chart the new terrain. You were not early for the old world. You are perfectly on time for the new one. This is your invitation to stop preparing and start occupying. To land the plane, to bring the treasure up from the cave, to do the work that is yours alone to do. The audience is not a stadium of cheering fans. It is the quiet, waiting space in the world that only your specific gift can fill. The long night of the soul has ended. Morning has passed. Step into your afternoon. It is golden, it is vast, and it is unequivocally yours. The stage is set, the role is yours. Walk onto it.